de laptop moeten staan?
Ja, staat het niet op?
Ik zie hem niet komen. Doe maar. Listen to Wikipedia. Music that you can yourselves go to listen.hotmail.com. And this goes all day. Ja, ik was niet staan. Je moet zijn moeten staan.
SPARQL. Are you ready to SPARQL?
I'm ready to SPARQL.
Oh, you're doing the video.
Yes. But I wanted to SPARQL.
Have you done it before?
I'm doing SPARQL every day.
Are you doing
SPARQL every day. I love it. It's my hobby.
Maybe I'll ask you my one question. At some point. I know there's a SPARQL station.
Yeah, well,
I did not get over there.
feel free to ask.
SPARQL was the first programming language that I actually understood.
It's quite good because it's, if you use like variables which has good names, you sort of could almost read it out.
What I don't like though is like you have like the shorthand where you can make it like really, really small. But then I don't understand what they're doing anymore, so I hate writing my stuff in shorthand.
Yeah.
I'd rather do the long version.
Yes.
I didn't buy it.
It's worth it for you. It's the best there is, I guess.
Yep. It's old, but it's still got these stickers all over it.
Yeah.
Like 500.
The next door, I think.
You don't have to apologize.
Seems that we have a full house. And first of all, one way Lloyd has never done anything with SPARQL yet. Well, that's most of it. And who of you have actually no idea what it will do? Also I should. Because SPARQL is a tool or a way to get data out of Wikidata. It's a big database and there are now currently something like 70 million items in it. And probably you're only interested in maybe 10 of them. How do you get a list of that 10 items that are just the items that you want to see? That is where SPARQL comes in place. And basically SPARQL will give you some items and some properties that belong to these items. So for example, a list of people with their birth date and the place of birth. And then you can, most of the time you can use the query that you create in another tool so that you can actually use it for something really useful. So what I said, SPARQL is a query language. You just query the database to get a filtered set of Wikidata items. And it can show you some of the properties that you can feed to another tool. Well, I listed here a few. Hysteria I will show you tomorrow. Hysteria is a tool to create from a SPARQL query an automatically updated list in Wikipedia. So if you want to have a list of all the capitals in the world, for example, then you just create a query that shows the data. And if someone is making changes in Wikidata to the data, then within 24 hours that list will update. So I will show you that tomorrow. PetScan is a very famous tool in Wikidata. And in PetScan you can do an awful lot. You can actually spend the whole day on explaining PetScan. But SPARQL is just one part where you can just put a query if you like. One I use a lot is Descriptioner. That is a tool where you can add descriptions for a certain set of items. I recently, it was Asia Week or Asia Month, I believe, probably it still is. So I went to all the subdivisions in the Philippines, called barangays, I believe, and they didn't have Dutch descriptions yet, so I just made a SPARQL query that will just list all these barangays with the province where they were part of, and then I just created with Descriptioner a nice description. This is a barangay in this province in the Philippines. And then you start with a SPARQL query that will just collect the 3,000 items that I needed at that moment. There are different formats that you can use. Most of the time you will, if you use it in another tool, then you don't care too much about the format. But if you just run the query in the query browser from Wikidata, then you just get a list of items with all the properties next to it. Then you can actually see what data is filled in, maybe what data is missing. Do I want to fill in missing data? I don't know it. But another nice one is to use it on a map. Now, there was someone this morning that asked me to create a query with all witches. So I created a query with all people that had profession witch, and then I took yes. But these were the people that were in the Dark Ages burned for being a witch. Their profession is then, in Wikidata, profession means why are they taken in Wikidata? And that it can be a profession not for earning money but for being notable actually. And then I collected the place of death, and the place of death, actually that city has a geolocation on it, and then you just add one line in your query and then it will just show a map with all the spots where these people were actually, where they died. Well, how does a query look like then? It looks a bit like programming. Well, here it's already for the workshop like something that you can try yourself. But here is actually the, of course, it didn't really fit. I'm just going to make it fit either like this. But like this it will. It always starts with select. If you ever learned to program SPARQL, another famous query language, then you might recognize that. Because you first tell I want to select, and then what do I want to select? Well, I just added some fields, and then there's another keyword, where, and then I get here a list of things that I want to see. Then I start here. Usually it's a good idea to always use the keyword item. You can also use anything else. Here I'm going to find brothers and sisters. So I could also call it a person, because this means it is a human. Well, then I could make this name more descriptive, but a lot of tools actually expect that this is called item. I don't know why they did that, but if you feed this to, for example, descriptioner, and you change this name item into something else, then the tool is just not seeing the result. So you will actually see everybody always use item as the domain filter. And later on there are different names. So here I start with all the people. Well, if I would just run that query, I did that last week, it took almost 1 minute to give me the results, and then it came up with 58 million people that are actually currently Wikidata. And every week they will add 100,000 more, I guess, because there are articles created for people and they all get Wikidata items, so that's growing and growing. And luckily nowadays it works. It gives you in someone is calling me. Nowadays it gave the result, but if I would try that 2 or 3 years ago, it would just simply give a timeout, because the result set is so big, 58 million items is too much, and it took too long to generate it, and then after 1 minute it will just say, well, I cannot handle that much, and then you just add more and more filtering, and then the set gets smaller and smaller, and then the query will work. So if you ever experience a timeout, then there are two ways that you can get some results. One is a bit tricky. You can just add at the end a limit, for example 100 or 1000, and then it will only give you the first 1000 results. But if you want to have all humans, then it doesn't help if you only get the first 1000. But the best way is just to create extra filters. So the next filter that I put here, because will I put that here on top now? Here I said I want people, but I only want people with the nationality or the country of birth being the Netherlands. This, I know that by heart after 5 years, but you can look that up, that if you go to the Netherlands or to a Dutch person, you will find that this is the code for the Netherlands. So that will already limit my set of data from 58 million all over the world to maybe 100,000 people that have a Wikipedia or a Wikidata item. I don't know exactly, but. And this is the code for sibling. I can actually show it with this, I think, just in the browser. What would be a good example in this case? And I need to know someone that has defined a brother or a sister.
We can use one of the royal kids, like.
Yeah, that would also be a nice one. But this was a famous football player that had a brother as well. That was a football player. Yes. That will be defined. Yeah, sibling. So if you just want to know the code, you can just put your mouse then over it and you will find, oh, P3373 is the code that I'm looking for. And if you go to the query itself, and it's a mistake this morning, maybe it will tell you.
You don't need to put WD?
Yes, I have.
Oh.
It's another mistake. I'm going to quit now. This morning I made it with not with a capital Q but with a small q, and then it gives no results. I don't know why, because I have no idea why it should be case sensitive, but be careful that I think that the WD you can put the capitals, but that Q5 that should be with the capital Q. Else it will not see or not recognize it as a Wikidata item for a person. And then we said where the item has a sibling, but there is also here a tool where you can just say filter on sibling.
It's with one B?
No, the problem is you have to You have the first entry or something. Put it on the full on again. And now I will add here sibling. I most of the time don't use that tool because it's not really behaving the way I like to work. But I can now replace that to a variable, and that actually means I'm going to find all people where this value has something in it, and that something I put them in the sibling.
How did you get the query over on the left side?
On this side,
Yeah.
there is here the I, and you can switch it on and off.
Yeah.
Is this the way to define variable sibling?
Yeah, you just name it, and then I can also here in the top, I can say, if they show me then if I use sibling label, then it will immediately show the name of the sibling instead of that Q code. But to be able to use that label, you have to add one line. Actually, you have to look up because it's pretty tricky code. 3 years ago I knew that because I was typing that in every day. But now I have to double check how that looks like. And we actually put the filter on only those people to also limit the item. And of course the date of birth. No, the place of birth. It was 227. 2999.
P also has to be capitalized because I just screwed that up.
Yeah. I put now everything nicely on separate lines, but if you want, you can also add everything on one long line if you like that more.
It's not necessary.
It is for the functioning. It's not necessary, but for reading it's easier.
Yeah.
But what is important is these small dots at the end. And the last dot is not really necessary.
Why is it?
The dot actually means that this line is finished or this part is finished and that you will go to the next filter or the next part.
You think so the last line, like it says.
On the last line I can now delete it because if I add that dot there, yes or no.
No, I mean what it says. It's like that the item is sibling. I don't know.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, first I'm going to get all items where the P31 is Q5, so where it's defined, it's a person, and then I'm going to filter them where the country of birth is the Netherlands, and then I'm going to filter on where this P3373, which is defined as brother-sister, who is the brother-sister, has a value. And this value I'm putting in sibling.
Okay. So anybody. That
Yeah, if I would run this query, then I will get all Dutch people that have a brother or sister defined, and I will probably get them twice, because the brother-sister itself should have the value the other way around. And then actually what I put in the query here, then I ask actually, but then try to filter the ones where one is filled, but the other is not. Because there we have actually data that we can make better. Because this query in the end should just have no result at all.
And the doubles are filtered out?
No.
So we still get them twice?
Yes.
Okay.
It's even like if you ask for one item with a certain property field and it has that property twice, because it has one brother and one sister, for example, here you get two lines where you get two times the same person with a different brother and sister.
And you get the brother as well with the first person?
Yeah, you can filter out, they only want to have unique values, there are special keywords for that. So if that's really necessary, you can do that, but by default you will just get 2 times the same item with different values. Well, actually up to here I already wrote it in the other screen. And then here I'm actually going to say I also want where sibling has something filled in, and then I put that in another variable that I call backwards, and later on I'm going to say that this only show me where backwards is empty, because then I will have all the ones that are.
What is bound?
Yeah, that's a keyword from SQL actually. I don't know what it basically means, but bound means actually that it has a connected value, and exclamation mark actually means that it's
No.
negative or not. Yeah. So not bound to backwards. And this basically is the format of finding all the blank items. Sometimes you want to see all the values, but sometimes you're interested in where it's empty. And that's what you do like this. Well, if you would run this query, or you can maybe change the country if you like, and you can find that for France or Spain or whatever. I can actually also type it in the other screen. Let's see if that will just run. Yes, it looks like it. I'll actually have a look how you can collect the label to it. So we'll just get a bit nicer and research. That should do it. Let's see. If you type that extra line 10 times a day, then you will know it in the end. But I'm looking it up every day. I just stored it somewhere. Well, now I created a list of 17 people. So this person has a brother sister, but this brother sister doesn't have no one the other way around. So I actually could just go to this Jan de Vries and add Gustav de Vries, and then we have actually fixed one. Indeed, we don't see the sibling here. I just ran the query again, and it will just give me exactly the same results. Because if you make no changes to the query, then it will actually take all the results from the cache. And then, yeah, you can change the data, but maybe after 10 or 20 minutes, then it will just redo the whole query. But if you just run it with the old format, then it will just give you exactly the same 17 results. Well, I actually took one out. So I now made a small change in the code. If I now do it again, I actually see it running, and now I should expect 16 items in the list. It's getting slow for some reason. Did anyone have something similar? Or do you have issues on the...
I can't get the label item
no.
names to come up.
The top one is still there. It didn't see the change yet.
What's the lag?
Yeah, that might be. There's good way. I can actually check it here. If there is a lag again. Last week, they had sometimes a lag of 5 hours on the day. And then it can take up to 5 hours before actual changes in the data set are visible. And indeed, there is a lag of 3 hours, something like that.
I think you can just press the red thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sure
It
if
doesn't always work.
No, but
solve the
sometimes.
lag. We can try.
Ah, there you see.
Then we'll say, data updated 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. Why isn't it showing the names?
So if I run it in 10 minutes, then I will see
Oh.
updated data.
So that means that the data for this query was updated within the last 2 minutes, or the Wikidata updated itself?
Actually, if you run the query, it will not immediately look to the data itself,
Yeah.
but there is just somewhere a copy of the data and some structure that is updated. It should be updated every second, but
Yeah.
if that process is running behind, then it can take up to several hours even before you get your results. That actually means that there are too many processes.
I've noticed, yeah. Sometimes I've actually forced my code, like I've made an error in my code, caused an error, put my thing back in the code, and then got it to work that way. But I don't like to do that, and it doesn't always work.
Excuse me, can you tell what service is doing?
Yes, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Line 7.
Because
Oh, that line, yeah. Yeah, I sneakily added this. If you do not put this line, then query will simply still run, but the label will be blank and this label will be blank. Yeah. And if you add this line, then it will pick up the labels of all the items in this language. I put it on Dutch, but maybe you want to have it on German or French or Italian or whatever you like, English. And then it will pick up the language of the label like it is defined in that language.
What is PD?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Another two user guide.
As I said, I'm always looking up this line because I used to know it when I used it 10 times a day. But nowadays I'm making maybe one query a day, and then I also have to look up what was it exactly. Because the format is pretty tricky of all the service. If you skip this line, then it will not fill in the item label. And the other one that you can use, I can actually show you, is the item description.
So it's simply a print statement.
Yeah, basically.
no, that should be
And I think that item alias will also work. So it's most likely not filled. Still 17. But now I also added the description, so now you get the label and the description. And the alias, but the alias, as I said, was for people is often blank, because there is no alternative names for them. And I could actually do the same for here to put there the description as well. But that's what you can do with that service. You can add the label, the description, and if you like, the alias. Is there anyone running into a weird error? But I tried everything to type like you did, but if I press the wrong button, I get nothing. Or that you will get at least something.
So you show the code.
You also see triplets when you choose graph. If you choose the title graph, you see there are 3 siblings and they are not connected to each other.
Oh, that can be, yeah.
There is one brother who has 2 sisters, but the sisters they don't
Yeah.
know each other.
Yeah, that happens to people who just work on one Wikidata item, and either they hope that a tool will one day pick it up, because I can write a script that will just find all these occurrences and just fill them out in a few minutes probably. Or maybe they were disturbed while halfway and never thought of it again, or
They
never
don't.
know how it happens. I was actually surprised. It was only 70 when I created this query first time 2 weeks ago. And I thought, well, I'll not solve all the issues now. Then the workshop will be a bit silly. But of course, if you do this for the USA, then you get more than 70. Well, I can actually do it here. I expect more people there, so also more issues.
June 30? It's United States, June 30?
Yeah. You can actually see that on this side.
Oh, sorry.
But the way I usually build my queries is also to just play around, like I did here, just add this and add the filter more or a filter less.
So when do we have to put the bound?
The bound is used to find only items where this variable is blank, has no value. There you can also put the filter, if the filter, the variable was a number, then you could also say filter only on where the number is less than 10 or more than 12. Well, for Americans there are 84 reasons. So we can actually, if someone is really bored tomorrow, we can make a fabricator task to just fix this kind of errors. Is there anyone that has an idea of a simple query, but has no idea how to start it? Because
All astronomers that are also play tennis.
yeah, let's get it. Try.
Or something more interesting, perhaps.
What's
Is
your
there
definition of
something
play?
more interesting than astronomers?
Sorry?
Is there something more interesting
No,
than
I can't imagine myself, but perhaps you can.
Maybe astronomers that are married.
Okay.
But too many.
I'm sorry?
There are many.
No, just astronomers, occupational astronomers and married.
They're married to the stars.
Maybe astronomers married to other astronomers.
Yes,
Astronomers
that's
and
That's an
interesting.
interesting one.
Sociological.
Yes, maybe their children.
I always use to start like this.
Sorry, is it possible to save your queries after you
Yes, sure. I will show you. There is here, first of all, you can download the results.
But the question also, if you
You can, if you say, I want to save this as a CSV file that I can import in Excel, or a JSON file that is another structured format, then you can download your results. An SVG image might be helpful if you want to save a map. Maybe an HTML table if you want to drop the data somewhere on the web page. And if you want to save the query that you used, you can save the query.
Excuse me, how would that save as a map, for example?
Yeah. Well, his result is a table and not a map, so it doesn't really help. Actually, I can just see what happens if I will save this as a, well, it's not doing anything. Probably because it doesn't make a lot of sense. But if I ask save as a CSV, now it created here in my download folder query CSV, and if I do the next one, then it will give it an query 1, query 2, etc. So if you really want to use that, the best is to, after downloading, give it a more meaningful name. So these were Americans with missing sibling.
But you want 2 downloads of the query and of the results separately?
Well, the query is just actually a link that you get. If you save this link, you open it again. You can send that link to someone else. If someone asks you, can you create a query for me, then the query is finished. You just copy that link, they can run it.
But you don't see the syntax.
You will. When it's finished running, then it will just show actually the screen that we just got. But the query service is a bit slow today for some reason. Probably in the next room we'll hacking the system. It'll be 1.5 hours for this workshop, so go like that. Okay, now with this query timeout. Usually, if I get the query timeout, I try it once more, and for this query, I know it should work because it already worked. And sometimes the second time you can be lucky because part of the data is still in the cache. So then the second time there's a bigger chance that it will run. If you get timeouts for 2-3 times, then usually it will not work anymore. But we were going to find the astronomers for us. So we wanted to find the item. First of all, these are all again people. And their profession. Is astronomer. I first add just something so that it will fill up on the other side, and now I can just use the lookup and say astronomer. Well, this should already give some results. So 7,180 astronomers in Wikidata. But she only wanted to see the females.
Oh yeah.
What is the semicolon there? Didn't even know that it would work.
Semicolon.
Yeah, should be boxed, I thought.
Semicolon work.
Semicolon.
Yeah, but you have to put the acronym.
If you don't put item, semicolon.
Then it will assume item again. Okay. Even I learned something today. Again, I will just add something.
Too fun.
Because to go from male and female is so difficult.
Female is an enormous number.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know why they make huge numbers for something that is used on 58 million items, but
Most of the humans are females. Should be
The-
small Q number.
They started with another item that is something in the 20s, but then they decided that should be only for all organisms, and it's a specific one for humans, which was added later.
Oh, yes.
yeah, that's probably the reason that the numbers are that high. It's the same for the Netherlands. The Netherlands were originally created as Q55, and then later on they figured out, but if we use that for the nationality, that's not correct because of our special area, the Caribbeans. These people are also from the Netherlands, but not from the area here in Europe, but the overseas area. So they created a new item, and that was item 29999. Well, it's still easy to remember if you use it a lot. It's high number. Well, all other countries are indeed in the range under the 300 most of them. Well, I find now 656 female astronomers.
That's good.
So that's basically like
An 11th?
roughly like 10% of the total, I think. Someone yesterday said that most of the time it was like 20-80, the percentage men and women in Wikipedia. So here it's not actually worse.
Even less, 1090.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it is like if you go in the field that really like 1 in 10 is a female. Then it is also correct if we only find 1 in 10 here.
For the Netherlands, it should be correct, I think.
Yeah, but this is still worldwide because we don't look to the nationality. We can actually add the nationality and we can pick it up and say 27 country of citizenship.
CUZ?
Country of citizenship.
Oh.
I can also call it anything I like. But usually you should not make them too long because then you keep on typing in India. And then in this case I will just say that I order them by the country of citizenship if I add them. And now we have 656 results. It might be that we have less. Indeed. Because all the females that did not have a country of citizenship defined are not anymore in this list. Because I queried out the country of citizenship and I did not make it optional.
So that's
If I want to see them also, then I say optional.
And it's also a good example of what happens if you don't have the service label thing. Like you
Yeah.
don't see the name of the country, you just see the QID.
No. Well, I also don't see it because I don't ask for it, but if I would just put here cause label, then it will indeed show nothing.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because you don't have the
Because the
service line.
service is not there.
Yeah.
If I add that back, or add that line. I can now copy it from here. Copying is always easier than typing.
That might be too many brackets.
No.
Okay.
There's 1, 2, and 1, 2. But it's still
I
not
think-
showing it.
Because there's 2 brackets on the right. And there's only 1 on the left.
No, there's 2 because it's
Yes.
before BD.
There's
Isn't it?
here 1 bracket as well.
Oh.
The outer ones are not needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are these filters,
I find this the best way. Start typing a service and then press Control
It's
Enter.
amazing. Because I cannot, I know why I think. It starts with all the blank ones. But it is filled, but you will only see them at the end of the screen. If I didn't filter them, then most likely I can actually put that under the command. Then it's not filtered anymore.
And we need the item labels to see the names.
If you want to see the name of the person, then indeed you need item label. And maybe also item description. I would expect that item description for the Dutch labels, for the Dutch descriptions will be something like sterrenkundige uit land. But some might be different.
what happens if we want the place of birth or the place of citizenship?
Yeah. Well, you can actually add both of them. Just add it. Optional. Because I also want to see the blank values item. The place of birth you said.
Yeah, that was my example. I didn't know this option. So that doesn't appear in the
It should actually show up here, but for some reason it doesn't. Well, now we go the old-fashioned way. Go back to any person that will have a place of birth. Place of birth, P19. And then we put the P19 for the place of birth. And then we also put it up there. And you see the results. Place of birth label. You can already see that the query is now getting a bit slower because I'm adding more and more data that I want to show. It also needs to pick up all the labels for all that extra data. But if we want to see it, then we need that extra time. Now, for some people you see there is no place of birth available. But for most of them it is.
I know some of them.
Yeah, or here is, now this is one from the old Greek period, and there's probably not a proper country for it, because Greece didn't exist in that time. It was like the Greek Imperium or whatever that country was called. I'm quite sure that there was a country in that time, but the person who created this item didn't know exactly what to take. Or he put it Greece and someone else deleted it.
Can put in Macedonia.
Yeah, but that's the historical Macedonia, not
That's right.
not nowadays Macedonia. So I will also not fill it in because I will most likely not have the correct value. When we get to But if you play around with this a little bit, then it's pretty easy to just add filters and create a query with everything you like to see.
There was a joke, a mayor of a town who was an animal. See this? It's a cat.
Cat.
In Alaska there was a town, and the mayor of the town was a cat.
Okay.
You could find it in Wikipedia.
Oh yeah.
You know that example?
No, I have not seen that.
Sorry.
So then actually you find a major that is not a person.
Yes, yes.
Well, and maybe we can find it back, we can have a look.
Perhaps,
Because it should be a cat and that's a major.
perhaps somebody has a more
A dog.
No, it's a cat.
interesting,
There's a cat.
yeah, oh dog. Perhaps you have a more interesting query.
Stubbs. Double B.
Is the name?
Yes.
Stubbs.
Oh yeah.
Let's go to dog.
306.
Oh, I can't find it with SPARQL. Instance of house cat
Okay.
occupation name
Yeah.
doesn't come up with anything.
Well, we start with the cat and we will have a look to the dog as well.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's There's passport, but there's no link to it.
We find it like this. Yes.
So I can use it like all of the links and things like that. I can put that.
Is it some kind of,
Yeah.
Google still has the
I know
cache.
it's just one.
This is probably not a domestic cat.
Ada,
Yeah.
why do you use semicolon?
Actually, I didn't do that. That is the tool over here. But they just explained to me if you put a semicolon here, then you can skip the question mark icon.
Oh,
If you use a dot here, then you have to specify here icon. So that is actually the same, but one is shorter than the other.
okay.
But if you use the, like we did with sibling, so that you take another parameter there, then you have to use the dot.
So you don't have to repeat P31.
Well, I don't have to repeat item.
Oh, I don't know.
I can take item away and replace this. And that's exactly the same thing.
Okay.
I tried adding it to the session thing, but it didn't work, so.
Oh.
That is also an abbreviation of so many things.
Maybe it's domestic.
Occupation is a cat.
Yeah, I tried with the domestic cat, but I didn't find anything.
It doesn't find it with house cat either.
Let's try it with the dog.
Or go for all cats with an occupation. It might be,
Then you get the
Not
one in
sure.
Japan that's the station master.
yeah, but we will get 3. We'll
Yeah.
find them.
Cat is a
Well, that's
pair.
an idea indeed. It's a cat with, I don't care about the occupation.
It's occupation.
Profession or occupation. Well, then I want to see the occupation,
Mhm.
especially if it's more than one. Well, you will find that they will have described characters from comics, etc., and they,
Should be fictional cats.
yeah, but they might be in there.
41 results.
That one?
Still there.
I think cat.
Oh,
See what they
39.
are.
39 dogs with a
Can you show
profession.
me this one? This is the Estonian
Mm-hmm.
part of the thing.
This is still on my.
Oh, but there are many more dogs who work as detectives, guides, etc.
This is the one I can get to.
Thousands of dogs, occupations.
Well, there are only 39 in front.
Have you ever seen a picture of it? Poor sad.
But they're not in
Police, dogs, tractors.
It's so sad, but I can't.
Space Invader.
If you want to do the same query, let's say dogs or cats that are working, how would you like that?
Good.
I usually don't do that, so I also have to look up how that exactly works, because then you have to actually combine two parts of the query.
Why it didn't work? But obviously that's
I
not
think I have an
It's not
example
an
that's pretty easy
occupation,
to
it's position held.
Cats or dogs, huh?
Well, that's the question indeed, how you do it.
The union?
Yeah, that's indeed with union. But it often gets tricky with union if you, because with union you have to make sure that all the variables that you want to select that are in the same order in both of the queries that you use. Because if you mismatch that, then either you get no results or a mess. I don't use it a lot, so I really have to look up how that would work. Yeah, I like that.
I don't use it often.
Do it like this. Just go. Touch.
Is it possible to add comments in the query?
Yes, I will show you.
Oh.
That is full.
The command, you can just put a hash and then you do like a meaning.
Okay, thank you.
It can be very helpful to just say here, for example, dog or cat. Because if you then look to that tomorrow, then what was Q144? Oh wait, that's dog and the other one is cat. If you don't add that, then yeah, then you have to look it up, or you have to be, if you're lucky, you can see here as well.
Maybe I also shown as pointers if you.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh.
I think if your mouse over it, then it will say this is the house cat, and this is the instance of, and this is the occupation.
Yes, that's very good occupation.
Now we get
Picture
80
in a
results.
second.
And because we have two types, it might be helpful to also tell what is the type. We don't do it like that. Question mark. And dot there. If you just forget it, then you will get just an error message. And in this case, I recognize it pretty fast. That they didn't expect their item. It's simply because I forget to put a dot. Formatting is always very important in programming. Let's see if this, yeah.
I tried the query in the samples that is funny, well, funny, nice. It's the cause of death ranking. And you have an image showing the overall causes of death. So, you can find them in the examples in the files there.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody wants to try, that's a nice request. You have, in the sample here, you have examples. So there we can learn syntax at the same time.
Yeah, you can learn a lot from all the examples that are there. I have in the presentation, I have some links to a lot of examples.
And the reference is this on website.
What's this ISA?
Yeah, that's one to ask if someone knew why I had to add this line. Because I said I want to now to know if the line is a cat or a dog. Because I filter for cats or dogs.
Like way gone past.
Alright.
That is not in the
So these are all
variable.
the
So that's
ones
what I
in
actually
the
put in the
offices.
line I put in the
Alright.
variable.
Because that's why we
This
couldn't
is
find the cat.
Oh,
this is a cat or a dog.
All
That's what I
the
filter on.
because the station
And
master
because
is the
I
same one.
now have that in that variable, I can also put that in
Like,
select,
it's like
and then I can see
Nita
what it
was
is.
Nita was the
It's a
second
little bit
one.
of a trick, but
The other one
very
doesn't.
tricky one.
I found,
Same with cat is.
ISA.
but it,
Yeah, if you add
the
label,
references
you get
are
label of the
to its
item,
own
you get
website,
description,
and that's
you
the
get
only thing.
description of the item.
Tried to
it might,
delete it.
yeah, but I'm not an admin. What do you propose deletions in Wikidata?
No, I didn't put the helpful links in this presentation. We'll add that later on.
This is from Windows.
For the people that speak Dutch or people that want to see some nice examples, I created 4 years ago, I think. I started with a wiki book that would give some explanation on SPARQL. And basically, I collected there a lot of examples for myself to always go back to them. How can I maybe use a union? Or there is one union in there. Or this is also the place where I get that Wikidata label thing. I know that it's totally in the end. I always copy that from here. And I just created here a lot of examples, but there are also 3 other links. Well, actually 2, because this is another nice one. This one is just on Wikidata itself, with maybe 100 examples of what you can basically query. So if I sometimes wonder, yeah, how can I do this or how can I do that, then you just see here all examples that other people created. And another great link is always, especially for beginners, if you just go to RAQ, request a query. Because this is the place where people are just asking, I want to have a query that shows this or that. Or maybe I have a query, but it gives timeout, or it gives errors, and I really don't understand why. And then you just go here, and at the end, you can just add your own example. And here someone is asking, I would have to have a query to retrieve all entities that have a Wikipedia page in a given language. And then 1 or 2 days later, often someone that knows a lot about SPARQL just created a query and says, here you have an example, is this what you want? Simple queries you can easily create yourself, create them on the fly. And usually if it's just adding filters, it's just a matter of finding all these properties, but especially if you want to combine things, I want to have all astronomers that were born in the capital city with more than a million citizens. That's possible to do, but that's not really a simple query anymore. And I can imagine that most of you don't think of. I can think of that it is possible, but I really don't have an idea how to connect it together. Then you just go to this place, and you can just put your query request there, and someone will probably fix it for you. So
it's also useful for medical applications. If you ask for all the bacteria that can cause pneumonia,
yes, that data is Wikidata first of all. Because if it's not in Wikidata or only very limited data is complete, then you can run a query and it will just come up with lousy information. It's the shit in, shit out model. If there's shit in the database, you always get shit out.
CISO.
Yeah, CISO data model. Well, this morning someone has a question to me about can I get a query for a percentage of for a certain museum where the makers were connected to a certain organization for copyright management.
Okay.
Well, I created a query that was showing that kind of information. I immediately added 2 queries. Be careful because there are so many items that have no maker, so they are not in the other query. And there are also so many items that do have a maker, but are not connected to any of these organizations. And that were an awful lot, and that was probably also correct because these were very old painters that do not have any copyright on the material anymore. But if you're not aware of that, yeah, then you just run a query and it comes with some data. But if you don't understand where the data is coming from and is it complete, yeah, then the result is maybe limited or maybe nonsense. Or so you always have to think yourself, does this make sense what I get out of it? And sometimes you just have to do some additional queries to see, well, is there maybe missing data and can I show that? But if you just keep on straightforward, and if you just want to have all the Dutch painters, yeah, then it's just 3 filters, it's a person, profession is a painter, and country of origin is the Netherlands, and you just get everything that's in Wikidata, and you don't have to care too much about the quality. But if you are going to combine things, then, yeah, then it easily starts to get tricky. Keep that in mind.
Is there a possibility to connect a query with the creation of an article? Like, for example, finding all the plants that just have an entry in Chinese and translate them automatically to English?
Well, the last part will work, translate them automatically, but find all the items that have an item in a certain language, that for sure it works. Well, all the plants, they will. Where? Actually, I have to check how I can find everything that is like a plant, because plant itself that might be one Q number, But I think that most of the plants are not defined as a plant, but something that are in the whole structure of the Linnaeus. There are a million plants, but none of them will have type plant, but they are all subtype of it. And that's also a way to figure that out.
Yeah, what is a plant really?
Well, a plant is a taxon that is not an animal.
Oh, I would say it's much more narrow than that.
Oh, it's cell wall. It has a thick cell wall. It's not a bacterium, etc.
No.
So in my imagination, it starts with it's a taxon and it's either a plant or an animal. And then maybe that will be correct for 99% of the items.
Because algae are plants and
But not animals.
not animals. But no. Is there a biologist in the room?
First of all, start with regular plants. To see if there is anything. I think I will should. So just look, there are 25 plants in it. I'm afraid that all 25 will have the wrong definition because it should be more specific than just plant. But it might also be that if we look in these items that they have plant and something added to it. In theory, every plant is actually a taxon. But this one, it only has one property, it is a plant.
Stupid.
Maybe stupid, but
Can be read in from a database.
the text set is manually created because there is an article to it.
It's
Also,
also
they created the article. Well, you can see this too.
right.
One person.
Plain.
Wow, that's
The Bob created the article in the beginning of Wikidata in 2013, when there were some labels changed. Then someone added something to it, probably that it is a plant, and then someone else used the tool to put that description in any images. So this will probably set property. No, it's the translated. Was the property already there? No. So when you were added, these are all descriptions. Yeah, that's the reason. It's the very last
It's the very last.
one where they first added all the languages and then they said, finally, it is a plant. So that is the reason why, and maybe this is a contributor that doesn't do a lot.
But we still should be grateful because otherwise.
Yeah, we would not find. There are maybe 1 million items that have no properties at all. And if you don't read the language of the connected item, if the connected article, if it's in Japanese, for example, and I don't speak Japanese, then I have no idea what it is about. That is the big value properties, because if it was about something where there is a Japanese article on it, and I see this is about a person, and the person is a singer, and it's born in that period, and singing in this genre, then I already get an idea, okay, this is a Japanese singer, this is jazz, for example. And I cannot read the article, but I already know almost everything that I wanted to know about what is this item about? And without Wikidata, you would have no idea.
And how does Wikidata deal with the contradiction? Because sometimes there are articles that are made in different language, but people say different things.
Yeah.
So how does it work?
No.
I know that it will happen in theory, but
Yes.
No, not only in theory, I think.
No, so you can have several statements
Yeah,
with different sources,
yeah.
that's one
and
thing.
they live there parallel, and then it's up to you to decide which source do you trust.
But for some reason, they don't come up in SPARQL. It's really hard to find them. And
Yeah, it
if
depends
they're-
on
if
the
they're
rank.
parallel ones.
Yeah, it depends on the rank and what you're asking for,
Yeah.
because WDT carry meaning.
Yeah.
So if you want all the properties, you should start with a P.
Well, the one that I can think of that always comes up is that people put somebody as an instance of person, and then they put somebody as an instance of artist instead of using the occupation.
Yeah.
And it won't then find that person under person anymore for some reason. I don't know why. It's a bug.
That might be a
Okay,
bug.
Yes.
question, can you
But that's the query engine that handles all it, not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
data.
Yeah.
So one example is here, is the tomato, is that a fruit or a vegetable? Well, for some people it's a fruit, and for other people it's a vegetable, and it depends basically on the country they come from. I believe in Europe it's a vegetable, and in the US it is fruit, because they used to have a law in 1915 or something like that, that if tomatoes were fruits, then they were under different tax, and some silly story like that. So for some people it's a fruit, and for some people it's a vegetable, and I see here even that they have a fruit vegetable.
That's the
They
same.
created something, maybe
That's
especially for tomatoes.
It's the same country that considers ketchup a vegetable.
So yeah, if you want to use Wikidata to find out if it's a fruit or a vegetable, you really don't know.
Here was a nice question. Can you query for references?
Yes.
I'm not sure if you can query for references.
He said,
Actually, I never did that.
You can, but it's a bit tricky.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that for
But if it's in there, you can query.
you can also query for qualifiers, because sometimes are the qualifiers here? Oh, here you have a qualifier. Then there's the pronunciation, and then this is the property that they added, and then they put the qualifier that this property is valid for language of work for British English. So that's not the pronunciation for French or Italian, but for British English. And they have it for British English and American English, because of the tomato discussion.
But what did you mean query for reference occasion?
To find out if there's a reference for some statement. If there is, like what it is.
I could imagine you want, for example, to find for a certain query only items where a certain property has a reference or is missing a reference. Maybe that you have a database with extra information, for example, and you know that most of the time this database is used as a reference for this item, but I've seen that some items are missing. Yeah, then it would be very good if you could just query maybe the 10 items that are missing the reference, so you could just add them. But I'm not sure if that's possible.
It is.
Probably it is possible, but it's tricky. And then if you really want to have that, then I would just go to request a query, tell them that this is what you want to query, and someone will show you how it works.
A great resource is also to search in the archive for people who have already requested a query.
Yeah,
And if you do that, someone asked, can we get a query that gives us the 10 most used references for date of birth? And someone created that query, so you can get a list of that.
Within a specific country or overall?
This is overall, yeah. But you could do more. Yeah.
So that's in the archive.
It's in the archive of requested query.
Okay.
And dinner served 5:30. This whole building locked. So everyone can go and dinner. We can also have dinner.
The real room is about 6, and then there will be some money there, so you can use your laptop or whatever if you want. Sorry.
Well, we have 10 minutes left. Is there someone that has a question? Yeah?
Have somebody else
Or it's maybe someone else? Of course, you can ask them tonight and tomorrow as well.
Is it possible to get, for example, paintings to be done that are with the license that is free? You know, I mean,
Yes.
to use, for example, that's something
Yeah.
useful.
Also there, you only get that if the data is entered in Wikidata, but if you just want to find all paintings that have a free license.
Yes, for example, recent, I would like recent paintings, paintings, recent that are of the 20
Paintings, I want to see. Copyright status. And then we need to know how that is called in Wikidata. We can just look through all the paintings that are public domain. And then we wanted to have data creation.
It's
data creation. Okay. So on the board, yes. I can they all. I think that there will be maybe 10,000 paintings with a license like this. So we get still quite a big list. We also wanted to see the recent ones.
yes, but I would say later than give a constraint on the date of
Yeah.
creation. So,
Again, we'll have to look up how it works, but for sure they can.
and how do you know that it is free license?
There's a field in Wikidata that will give the copyright status of an object. So then, well, that is something that makes sense to enter on the painting. Of course, there will also be maybe half of the paintings have no copyright status. Yeah,
Yes,
and
but
they will
it
be
is-
out of the results. But for the ones where the copyright status is known to be public domain, or we can maybe look to all paintings, what kind of values do we see there, then we can make a different filter.
Can the script be simplified because we type all the time the same things? We only need P numbers and Q numbers and print statement.
Yeah, but you cannot make it simpler than this.
I have a quick one. So like in Sami, we have different names in Sami compared to in Finnish.
Yeah.
So is there one where we could compare the two fields,
Yes,
the
we can.
two labels?
And actually, Harmonia asked the same thing, so I will create something maybe tonight that will be an example for that.
Okay, thanks.
And you can look at it in Harmonia as well.
I have one question. When I make tables or visualize the data, I often get item label in the image. Can I rename it somehow so that it looks more
I'm
sophisticated?
afraid not, because the item label is the item label is on the Wikidata item in a certain language.
Yeah, so that's
That is indeed then the answer.
Was your question was what the name of the header in the table?
yes.
You can change that.
Oh, that might be
So you give item label as and then something else.
Okay.
And then you could say name or something.
Yeah, obviously we have some things there, some
And then
Where do you do
question mark name. And run it again and you will get no? Alright.
yeah, probably we need to put brackets around,
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
This is something I also usually,
Yes.
what I usually don't use because I don't look to these labels in the end. But this is the way that you could do that. Then the header is called name, and that will then also be shown in the map. So maybe if that is what will solve your issue, then that is probably the way to do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This query will run forever and then time out again. So I suggest that we all go to eat.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions today or tomorrow, then I'm still there.
The regular brackets, not color brackets. I don't
Bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't see that.
Do you perchance know